So I'm going to talk about 3 things that we can all do pretty much right now to make a big impact. And there's a scale here of like really easy stuff to bigger things in the theme. So my first point is that we can move our money. And a lot of us feel like we don't have that much money. Sometimes I certainly do, every second Thursday. But if you think about it this way, our banks. So most of us will put nearly $1 million through our banking accounts throughout our lifetime. Our banks are using that to go and invest in other things and make a truckload of money. Superannuation. Australian superannuation, viewed collectively, is the largest pool of money that has ever existed anywhere in the world, ever. Which is quite a lot of money. And yours might only be 1/20 millionth of that, but over the course of your lifetime, most of you are looking at over $1 million of superannuation, and then you think about your parents, your family, your friends, and how much superannuation they're going to accumulate throughout their lives. Most of that superannuation is being used by companies who invest it in mining coal, trading nuclear waste, investing in cigarette companies, and investing in arms dealers and cluster munitions. And if those are things that you would like your hard-earned money to be invested in, then by all means, keep it in those companies. But if you want it to be invested somewhere else that is investing in renewable energy, which I have a feeling will make some money in the next 30 years, then you might want to consider changing it. It's super fast and easy to do, and we can all change over to an ethical investment fund right now. Now, that's just, your $500,000, but if you think about the impact that you can have by switching, telling your superannuation company why you're switching, and that you're going to switch 10 of your friends, then you start to think, actually, I'm moving millions and millions of dollars away from bad things over the course of my life. The other area that we all spend heaps of money is our energy, right? So on average, about $300 a year. If you're paying that bill for 80 years, that's $24,000 over the course of your life. And most of our energy companies are the most hated companies around. Origin, AGL, Energy Australia, they are putting coal seam gas mines in the ground all throughout this state. They are lobbying the federal government to get rid of renewable energy targets. They are bad, bad people. It's super easy to switch your energy away from these evil companies to some good companies. We've spent the last 2 years looking for a company we thought was good enough, and we've found 2. Diamond Energy, which you can switch to right here in New South Wales, or PowerShop, which is a Victorian-based company. They're opening here in a couple of months. And if you go to our website at GetUp and join up to be a GetUp member, in the next couple of months, if you're in New South Wales, we'll keep you abreast of our plans to have thousands and thousands of people switching here away from those dirty big 3 energy companies and toward a company that's investing in 100% renewable energy. So that's super simple, super quick. You switch your money, you switch your superannuation, you switch your bank, you switch your energy, and suddenly you have moved hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars over the course of your life. If you then ask 10 friends to do the same, you're talking about moving $5 to $10 million. Now, the big scale of this is you think about a bloke called Tom Swan. Tom Swan is 26. He was a philosophy student at ANU. He used to be my colleague. He moved to Canberra, which I thought was pretty much the end of him, and started studying philosophy at ANU, which, again, I thought was pretty much the end of him. And while he was there, Tom decided to start organising other ANU students. And they started with simple little meetings around the campus, talking about how ANU has a huge fund of money that they invest, their endowment. Tens and tens of millions of dollars. And they're investing some of it in fossil fuels and cigarette companies, etc. And so Tom started having meetings with fellow students about how wouldn't it be great if we could get the university to switch all of their investments away from fossil fuels. Started with small meetings. He then started meeting with members of staff and lecturers who started talking about it in their classes. Eventually, they organised a vote of the whole ANU campus where every staff member and student could vote about whether they thought the university should move out of fossil fuels. Of course, the overwhelming majority voted, yes, we should. And after more than a year of campaigning, in the last month, ANU have moved all of their investments out of fossil fuels. You might have seen it in the media this week because the Prime Minister has been very angry about it and said that ANU is very stupid. And that's all because of a couple of students at ANU who started this movement to get the university to divest. And of course, now ANU, as a top university, have done that, and many others are looking at doing the same thing. So you can move your money, or you can start moving your friend's money, your friend's superannuation, or you can move your whole university's money, and suddenly we're talking about tens and tens of millions of dollars. The second thing you can do, and this sounds maybe a little weird, is complain a whole lot more. A lot of people ask me to talk about why young people get excluded from politics. And there are a whole bunch of systematic things about where power lies and so on and so forth. But I think the core thing is that old people are really grumpy and complain a lot. Think about the person in your family who is like your auntie or your great auntie, or in my case, my grandmother, who is super grumpy about everything and really conservative. And she calls up every radio station when she doesn't like the stories they're playing and says, "Excuse me, but that story was really crap, and you should change it, and you should never have that person on again." And the radio stations get really freaked out when that happens, because they don't get that many calls, and they're all from grumpy old grandmas. So I would say one of the most important things we can do, actually, and it sounds silly, is to change your speed dial on your phone. And whatever is your favorite news source, whether it's the Sydney Morning Herald or ABC News in the morning or whatever it is, put them in your speed dial, their complaints number, they have one. And your local MP and your local senator. And anytime you're grumpy about it, it only takes 60 seconds, and I find it quite cathartic. You can call up and tell them how unhappy you are. And it does actually make a difference. This is where the term, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, comes from. And the squeaky wheels are all very old people at the moment. So switch that around. Complain. The third thing you can do is recruit. Now, I want to give you an example. There's a woman called Tracy who lives in Morwell in Victoria. Now, you might have noticed about 6 months ago, the huge mine in Morwell, one of the hugest coal mines in Australia, caught on fire. And when these coal mines catch on fire, sometimes they don't go out for 100 years or more, because coal burns and it's really hard to extinguish. And so the whole town had to be evacuated because there was a coal mine on fire in their town, and pollution levels were 28 times the acceptable level. So there were kids in town who were going to school, and they were all coming home with coughs and infections. They were getting sick. And Tracy was a local parent, and she couldn't move because she just didn't have the money to leave her job and get out of town for a few weeks while the coal dust cleared. So she got on our website called CommunityRun.org, and she started a petition to say, we want a study into the impacts of this coal dust on our community. We want a health study to know what it's doing to us, because the Premier was telling them that it didn't have any impact. And 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 signatures later, Tracy found herself on TV, doing newspaper interviews in the area. She found herself talking to a rally of 5,000 people in the community, all from starting this petition. And she found herself winning and getting an inquiry into the impacts of coal smoke in their community. She's now found herself with 35,000 supporters in the local area who have all signed on to her petition and told her, Tracy, you know what, we actually want you to run for Parliament, because the Energy Minister is the local member in the state election. And so Tracy, from being a local mum who just wanted to know how much the coal smoke was impacting her community, is now running for state parliament with an email list of 30,000 people, and the local minister, who has always thought he was in a safe seat, is really scared. And so from the smallest kind of spark, sometimes a fire really starts to grow, and that's what you can do using websites like change.org or our site CommunityRun.org, where you can start a small campaign that sometimes balloons into a huge, huge campaign and a movement. So my 3 tips for ways that we can all make change right now are: first, move all your money out of all the horrible companies who are investing it to ruin our planet, and tell your friends to do the same, tell your university to do the same. 2, complain a lot more, complain more than your grumpy auntie. And 3, start recruiting people around the issues that you care about by using the power of the internet to aggregate thousands and thousands of people on our website, CommunityRun. And so those are my top 3 things. I hope I've been within 5 minutes. I think I have. Thank you very much.